Pop, what's going on, man?
Hell,
Hail. Yeah, baby. Great win today is much needed. Feeling good, guys. Welcome to our Raiders post game episode. Before we talk too much, just a word from our sponsors, which are Dom and Pop. Don't forget to like, subscribe, join the jersey giveaway. It's going to be down in the pinned comment in the subscription or in the description. Once we get to 2,000, we're going to be giving away a Jane Daniels jersey. So,
man, you brought your A game just like the Commanders. I love that. That's not even in the outline.
flu game, baby. So,
Beautiful.
keeping it moving here. Getting into the game, me and Pop were talking about our days and various obstacles, and then we kind of switched gears to the football, and we're like, well, boys gave us absolutely nothing to be mad about today. Just a perfect, good old fashioned Commanders win, 41-24. I think when Dan Quinn got knocked over by Marcus Mariota, I think when his head hit the hit the turf and bounced back up, I think it brought back the 2024 Commanders in like a Freaky Friday, like Disney Channel style movie. Like he kind of got knocked back
Maybe.
into life kind of situation because up until that point in the game, we were dominating, but we hadn't been able to close. And just as I almost tweeted out, like it feels like we're like allergic to the scoreboard. It's like we get right there and we just can't make it show. Um,
Mistakes.
and sure enough, we managed to do so. Win 41-24, led by Marcus Mariota and Bobby Wagner.
Did you see
Um,
Dan Quinn's presser?
yeah, with the
He
stitches on
showed
his
up to his
nose.
presser. He's got the cut across his nose. He's got blood dripping out of his nose and onto his stash. Like,
I tell you
oh my
what, man,
God.
they would have had to bring. They would have carted Ben Johnson off. There are
Oh,
certain
yeah.
guys that are just
He'd
football
have been
guys,
rolled
man.
up in a fetal position crying.
Would have had his mom on the sideline petting his hair. We got ourselves a
But
dog
I,
in
I, I
DQ, man.
think
Love that guy.
I think it's appropriate. Just make a quick point. DQ really put a stamp on this game.
Yes,
Like you could see the way they dedicated to the run game, the way they came out physical. I really felt like the coaches, but I'm going to give DQ most of the credit because I just felt his intensity, his presence, getting this team ready to play for this game and really developing a game plan where they were just very physical, both on offense and defense. And we'll get into some of the shakeups in the offensive line. I really think this was just a brilliant answer by this team. And I think they were led very much so by their head coach in giving that answer.
100%. It's a great point, Pop. And I mean, 400 yards of total offense, 201 on the ground with 32 carries. You saw it on the first drive. It was just literally
Finally,
they didn't pass the ball. It just they had a huge return from Debo Samuel,
huge.
who we'll mention later in the game. Pop snuck him off the helmet stickers. Me and him are going to have to scrap about that one. But you got a huge return from Debo Samuel to set the tone on that first drive, and then just made it easy. And what you can see here, I was texting a few of my buddies. I got a little group chat going with some of my more like fantasy nerd friends, and they're all going. I told them, Bill is probably the guy here. You can go ahead and drop Rodriguez if you want. They're not Commanders fans, so they're not as up to date. And they're texting me and they're going, "Man, you idiot! I should have kept Rodriguez." And I said, "Look, I think this backfield is going to be a nightmare for fantasy football and parlay purposes. But what you've got are three dogs back there, and they're just going to ride the hot hand." So Bill, you saw, put his stamp on the game. Rodriguez had some big runs. McNichols had some big runs. I think the three of them in different situations are all going to kind of put it together.
But
So,
Bill's
and,
ability to find the seam
oh,
and make yards out of nothing, although you got to give McNichols credit on his touchdown run,
yes.
which we'll get to in a bit. But I mean, it's it's special. I mean, it looks special. We're 3 games in. We'll see. But I think he's just clearly kind of got a little bit of a different gear. And I thought his
Yeah.
touchdown run was great too. Like everybody was all upset about, the call, uh, the fact that they, said that Terry McLaurin's great long catch wasn't a touchdown. And I'm like, don't worry, they're going to give it to Bill. He's going to score right
Yep.
here. And sure enough, he did.
Yeah, and I mean, not a day that jumped off the stat sheet for Bill. I mean, 8 for 26, a
No,
touchdown, and one reception for 5 yards. But I mean, the guy just doesn't get less. He doesn't lose yards. He always gets something, even if there's nothing. A lot of those 8 or 10 yard runs were like should have been a yard, and would have been with previous backs we've seen. So big fan of his game. The offensive line is probably the headline. So right before the game, I'm kind of like going through some pregame rituals and checking my phone, and I'm seeing like, man, this is weird. Um, Chris Paul's going to start at left guard. And I'm
right
like,
guard,
what is going
left
on?
guard. My bad. Yeah,
What is going on? Because we got the announcement earlier in the week that Wiley was going to start at right guard, and we said, okay, probably correct answer there. We've been pretty critical of Nick Allegretti for a long time. A big fan of the dude and his hustle, but in terms of,
great
I think I
backup.
said it on the last exactly. I think I said it on the last pod. That just cannot be your plan as a starter, especially when you got a guy like Wiley hanging around. So, and they decided to actually deactivate Brandon Coleman, which was wild to me.
Yeah,
And I'm thinking, okay, it's going to come out that he gotten some kind of like speeding ticket or some kind of trouble off the field or something. And nope, they just said what you brought these last 2 weeks has been unacceptable, and we're not going to let you see the field today. Sat him down, and maybe he didn't respond so well to the news that he was going to be benched or whatever. But at the end of the day, man, Chris Paul made his case, and I personally think we would talk about it more in the pregame pod for next week. I'm sure there will be more news and updates by then. But I think you roll with this five until proven otherwise, right?
100%.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
it's
mean, Chris Paul was a
100%. I mean,
stud.
it's definitely a strange situation. I think the Wiley start actually was brilliant. Like a lot of people were, and I think including us, questioning whether Connolly should continue to play. But I feel like by putting Wiley next to him, Connolly had a much improved game this game as well because he's playing next to a vet. He's playing next to a guy that played the position that can be in his ear and can tell him, hey, be ready for this, or just maybe just having that veteran presence there. So I thought it was brilliant actually putting him in at guard rather than tackle because he's continue to ride with Connolly, and Connolly's
Yep.
just going to continue to improve. I really believe that. He's got Laramie Tunsil working with him. He's probably got Wiley working with him now. And yeah, I mean, I would have never called Chris Paul playing, but they I saw some tweets about his performance. He didn't allow any pressures, or
Yeah,
I
it was
mean,
a stud.
he played great, and so they saw that through camp. And yeah, I didn't realize that Brandon Coleman was struggling quite to the degree that he was, but I love it. I mean, I love it. You can't just preach competition. You've got to, and again, I think it goes back to um, Dan Quinn just putting his stamp on this game. I really
Yeah.
felt like he did, and I felt like um, the fact that he took that hit and bounced back he's got to be hurting after that because the way his head bounced off that ground was crazy. And yeah, it was pretty competitive game in the first half. They were able to create some separation, get to 20-10, which was really good. And then it was pretty much never in doubt from there. It's a pretty
Yeah.
easy ride in the second half, which you love to see. And Marcus Mariota, man, like you've just, I had my doubts before last season. I had a lot of doubts, um, but every time we've asked him to perform, he's just stepped up. And I turned to our friend Ken, who was at the gathering that I was at earlier, watching the game, and I was just like, could he play any better? Could he play any better? Like
Yeah. I
I
mean,
know
he
that they
was.
didn't lean on him that much in terms of the run game, but I just can't imagine him playing any better other than the fumble, right? Which was kind of a freak thing.
Yeah, and it's almost even hard to like. for the fumble, like he fumbled it, and I kind of said to Morgan, I was hot, and I
You
was
should have
like,
got
oh,
down.
I was like, that's and moments like those are why he's the guy coming off the bench, and that was a little harsh, but you know, you can't almost can't blame the guy for he only gets so much action in game, getting a little excited. Definitely you would want to see a veteran go down there. I think five. If he's not fast enough to just blow by everybody in that situation is probably going down as well. Um, but yeah, you definitely don't try and hurdle somebody that early into the game when you're just, you know, putting it to a team and you have a chance to kind of put them away early. But other than that mistake, and what I was worried about after that mistake was where's his confidence going to be at? Is that going to shake him? Because that's really, I mean, in the 3 games we've watched Marcus Mariota start for this team, that's the biggest mistake he's. That's really the only mistake he's made.
I wasn't worried about that at all. I knew
So I was like,
it's just the
where's
vibe
his
of
head
this
at?
team.
But
The confidence is
yeah,
there.
and
Yeah.
that is the thing that just what I loved about today is that the vibe of this team was back. The confidence, the swagger, the things that we were missing against New York, the feeling that we were missing uh against Green Bay, who by the way lost to the Cleveland Browns today. Um that vibe was back and it felt like the boys again and the energy was there. Defense was flying to the ball.
How about the
Defense
special
played
teams?
really well. Specials were phenomenal. I mean, Debo sets the tone. First play of the game is a 61-yard kick return from Debo Samuel. It sets the tone for what we're going to do today. And if
Yeah.
you look at those early season blowouts that we had last year, it was this we were doing it this way 200, 400 yards total offense, 200 in the air, 200 on the ground. They were very balanced. It wasn't until later in the year that we started spending more time in the air and then games got closer, things got a little dicier. So hopefully Cliff can continue to just scheme this run game, move in and Anthony Lynn and everybody else in charge there on offense. Keep this run game going. And I think a big part of it's the way that our line played today. Um, but defensively, I mean, 5 sacks. You held the Raiders to 93 yards on the ground. At one point, we had more, it was about like halfway through the third quarter, we had more yards in special teams than the Raiders had total. Like it was
Yeah.
just dominant.
Yeah. I really feel like, they started moving the ball through the pass game, but our entire secondary was out injured. So I just
Yeah,
want to make sure and point that out to anyone that didn't realize that as to why they started dominating, guys started running open. We pretty much had all our backups in, which we'll get into again. But I just want to say something because it's something that I've been feeling. And of course, it's easy to say it now, but I'm going to let it out. This is a good football team, people. This is a good
100%.
football team. It's not all five, which they showed you today. And I love five more than as much as any other fan out there loves Jaden. He's a great player. He will be the difference in terms of taking us to the top for sure. But this is a really good football team. And that's why I wasn't hitting the panic button after the Packers game, like so many others were going, this is the end of the world. It's a week to week league. You saw what happened to the Packers today, right? In a shocker against the Browns. People wanted to crown them early, right? And say they were the greatest thing ever, which, maybe they still will be at some point. But we have a very good football team. These injuries are a concern. It would be my biggest concern. But we put our best players on the field. We're going to be competitive. We're going to be a problem. And you could miss me with they only beat weak teams because we won 2 playoff games last year. So that
On
argument
the
doesn't
road.
fly anymore. And when you could beat, 2 teams that you want to call for our 2 victories at home that you want to call weak, fine. We smashed both of them. And that's what you're supposed to do. So,
100%.
it was a great answer. And yeah, I mean, just happy to see the victory. It's always a lot more fun doing these pods when we can do it after a win. And
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, not a lot to complain about after that one.
Yeah, I love it, Pop. Cliff just did such a good job of
He did.
keeping the offense keeping the offense rolling. I think he called a heck of a game. I don't know where that was a few nights ago. It doesn't matter. Keep it
I
keep it
think
rolling, man.
DQ got in his grill, man.
Yeah, I think as he should have. And Joe Jr., I think this is the last one to talk about it because they're not on our awards, and I think it just deserves. I mean, to take Chris Paul, right, who is a seventh rounder,
Should probably have got one.
that's he should have got one, and
Yeah,
maybe he could be in the
you can
honorable
throw one
mention,
in
or we
there.
could throw one in there for him. But to take Chris Paul, who is a seventh rounder and a guy that has been fighting for a roster spot every year. It's not been a conversation of is Chris Paul going to get playing time. It's been a conversation of is Chris Paul going to be on the practice squad, fighting for a roster spot. To get his chance today and to play the way he played, and for the coaching staff to say, I don't care that Brandon Coleman was a late second, early third round pick last year. I don't care that we spent a valuable pick on Brandon Coleman. He's not playing the way this seventh round pick is playing. We're putting him in. And respect to the coaching staff for doing that because we've seen a lot of staffs in the past who have clung to their guys or whatever. Like Chris Paul, this guy from previous administration, stuck around.
I don't
And
think that matters to them anymore.
yeah, I think, but the fact that that doesn't matter to them is worth a lot, in my opinion, because you don't see that consistently across the league.
Yeah,
So, very excited from what we saw from him and the offensive line in general. I think once Cosme comes back, the competition between Paul, Wiley, and Allegretti for that left guard spot and Coleman should be interesting. You love your depth at that point. Two solid swing tackles as backups. But overall, man, this is exactly what we needed. This is like the chicken soup for the sick Commanders fan base. It's just exactly what we
yeah,
needed
and be
to
able to minimize the impact. I mean, Crosby, you definitely saw him flashing out there, right? And he's a heck of a player, but they didn't let him change the game. They didn't let him have a major impact on the game. A lot of them is keeping them on their back foot by just getting downhill and running the ball, right? And
Yeah,
um, to have the size that a Wiley brings, putting him at guard, also is a big help. And gotta love it. Gotta love it.
definitely,
Yeah.
definitely.
So let's talk some awards.
Yeah, let's get into these awards, man. I think Sauce, pretty easy for this one. I think you got to go. Pop's calling it a co-sauce. I'm cool with that. We do offensive, defensive. Marcus
Not
Mariota
always,
on
but
the
I think it's deserved this time.
yeah, Marcus Mariota on the offensive side of the ball. You can't not the way he played today. 207 yards passing, 40 yards rushing, and a touchdown. One touchdown through the air. And just the numbers may not jump off the page as like, wow, Mariota went off, but he made every play that needed to be made. And this team was only really in attack mode for like 2.5 quarters, because the game got out of hand at a certain point. You had a punt return for a touchdown, things like that.
Yeah.
And it was just, we went into protect the lead mode for the fourth quarter and for like half of the third. But Mariota absolutely just played as good as you could possibly ask. And to come off the bench as a backup and do that for your team when we're in the position that we're in right now, vibes are a little low. People are freaking out prematurely about the team, etc. That cannot go understated how important that is.
No, I agree. You said it perfectly. He just made the plays that had to be made. And, was finding the open guys, the pass to Terry, the conversions, when we needed them. Um, just did everything that he needed to do to run this team. And I'm sure as hell glad he's our backup, right? Because, when Jaden gets nicked, we can have a lot of confidence that we can come in and compete in a game. And that's great.
Yeah, it blows my mind out of the 32 starting quarterbacks in the league that this guy is not one, but I'm so grateful that he's here.
I think
Moving
it's
on.
just such a great situation for him and a great offense. And, you know, but yeah, no, it's a fair point for sure. I bet if Cliff gets a job next year, there might be a phone call. There might be a phone call made to Marcus's
I
agent.
think honestly, for as long as he can continue to play at the level he's playing at, I think you make him the highest paid backup in the NFL while you've got five on that rookie deal.
Yeah.
Um, Defensively. Bobby Wagner leads the team with 11 tackles, 2 sacks, 2 tackles for loss, and 3 quarterback hits. Um,
This guy,
so
I mean, you talk about the fountain of youth. Like, he's one of the best players in the league still.
that's so
It's
that's my
crazy.
that's my thing, right? Is like look at these two guys, right? Look at Mariota and Wagner, and look at some of the other guys that we're going to mention: Jeremy McNichols, Debo Samuel. Are these guys bringing the average age of the team up or down? Up, right? But are they bringing the level of play of this team up or down? Also up by a lot. It's
100%.
way more important. I mean, Bobby Wagner
What
is
about
a
Zach Ertz? I mean,
yeah. Zach Ertz had a decent game. Like always makes the catches when you need him to. Like Wagner had Wagner is performing at a top 5 linebacker level across the NFL. It's the thing. I was texting with my buddy last week during the Packers game, and he's like, "Look, man, it's an older team. Like you guys outperformed last year, a lot of close games.
nothing to
Like
do with it.
not weird. It's not weird to have a little bit of regression." And I just said to him, I said, "Look, you've got Laramie Tunzel starting over Brandon Coleman at left tackle. Who's better? He's older, but who's better?" Like when you make the improvements that we've made across the roster, and Bobby Wagner, you know who's younger than Bobby Wagner? Cole Holcomb, Cody Barton, Jamin Davis. What were they doing at linebacker? Where are they right now? Like you don't need a 24-year-old kid who can't get it done on the field, but has all the athletic tools
Well,
to play middle linebacker.
it's a 24-hour news cycle with everybody on Twitter being basically a reporter, and it's really quick to just say, oldest team in the league. Look at all the injuries. Blah 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 blah. You know, at the end of the day, all you can gauge any of these guys how they perform on the field, and he's just playing phenomenally week after week after week. He leads the team in tackles, and this was an extra special performance by Bobby Wagner.
That's another one. Every year that he wants to play, you just give him 10, $15 million and you move on. And you're willing to be a year late on a guy like that, in my opinion.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, helmet stickers. I
Didn't
didn't have
call
this
this
one.
one.
No, Jeremy McNichols, I mean, only got 4 carries, but 78 yards, including that 60-yard touchdown run. He's a guy that always plays well on specials. He's had some pretty big tackles and kick and punt coverage, but doesn't really get a lot of time outside of like pass protection. And that touchdown run was kind of the like, for me, that's when it felt like, okay, we're solid. Like this game's over, you know?
No, I mean, great. He bounced off three or four guys, and all of a sudden he's just running free. And because
Yeah.
they're in a, like running back rotation, you're trying to like go, which running back is that? Oh my God, it's McNichols. Like, and
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, I think he produces. He produces when he gets the opportunity, and all the backs. That's the thing. Like, you just got confidence in it. You put any one of the three back there, and they can produce, and that's exciting. And I think they got to keep leaning on this run game, because I think the more that you can continue to do what we did today, that's just going to open up things for hopefully a soon to return Jaden Daniels or Marcus if he's in there, and make things so much easier on those guys. And offensive linemen always love to get downhill, right? But great to see for McNichols. He's just a pro, and maybe there's a little left in that tank, more left in that tank than we gave him credit for in
Who
preseason.
Who knows, man?
Who knew?
But this is what good teams do. It's a next man up mentality. The next guy who's no name. If you're on the other team, if you're the Raiders, it's probably the first time you ever heard of Jeremy McNichols, right? Then you're going, "How's this guy torching us for his?" Even him, he's getting some. But this
Yeah,
is what good teams do, man. This is what good teams do. Speaking of which, speaking of guys that you go, where has he been and have arrived this season is Deron Payne, man. Wow. Deron Payne is back. Um, say what you will about the correlations to contract year. I think there's another correlation to a certain player that was let out of the building. That's probably more
I think there's a bigger
stronger.
reason.
Yeah.
DQ.
Um,
I
and
think they
yeah.
recognize the talent in this guy, and he's just been working him, building up his, building up his confidence, building up his importance. He gave him the captain's armband today. I think they've been coaching this guy up because they see the talent that's there, which
Yep.
is elite when he comes to play.
Dude's a player, man. I mean, he was one of my favorite. If you go back, I don't know why you ever would, but if you go back to the Ron Rivera era podcasts, I was on here every week talking about he was probably my favorite player on those teams. And I'm so excited to see him back because when he's doing what he does, it is just fun to watch. And he elevated the play of those around him. Namely Johnny Newton. Today was a Johnny Newton coming out party. Pop took him off the helmet sticker list here, which is fine. But Johnny
Can't,
Newton
can't give a
balled
helmet sticker to
today.
everybody on the team.
Johnny Newton balled today. We had five that we discussed,
His
and they were
stats
just
didn't flash
different. The
that much. So.
numbers don't show up in the trenches as much. Johnny Newton balled today. He had
Well,
himself a coming out party.
the interior of that defensive line is a problem. I mean,
Yeah.
it's in a good way. It's a heck of a strong interior for
Yep,
sure.
and you never know. Now we're getting to the point. Well, this next guy, he's going to bring it every week. But now we're getting to the point between. We just know one of Payne, Newton, Kinlaw. One of those guys is getting the shout out every week. You don't know which one, but one of them's going to get a shout out. This guy, however, is getting a shout out every week so far, and has been phenomenal on the defensive line, which is Dorrance Armstrong. He has been legit. He took the next step this year.
His sack. I mean, if you I don't know if you remember his sack, he chased him down.
Mhm.
Like he had a burst of speed on that sack that I didn't realize he had that in his tank. It
Yeah,
looked
and
different.
it's again DQ man came over from Dallas. Um, it's a situation where we have the personnel defensively. I don't think last year we had the personnel defensively to run the scheme that we wanted to run, and this year now with guys like Amos and Lattimore, good press man corners, both of which who had phenomenal games today. By the way, unfortunately got hurt. We'll talk about that in a second. Um, Lattimore literally, or Amos literally didn't give up a yard. Lattimore gave up 12 yards on one target. Um, but both of
Amos
them,
is so good. So good.
dog. But that allows the defensive line to play differently. The linebackers allow the defensive line to play differently. And now we're starting to see that defensive line shine. And that Dan Quinn, like every time I'm like, oh, here comes the house, pressure. And then I look and there's four guys rushing. I'm like, oh, okay, we're doing that thing now, which is great to see. Um, Jalen Lane also makes his way onto this list. Five returns for 127 yards, including a 90-yard touchdown run, which was
Beauty.
obviously super impressive. But even, I mean, that was as good of a play as you can make as a returner, of course. Some of the fastest I've ever seen somebody look on an NFL field. Just, I mean, like,
But to see that like he breaks the return and as soon as he's going, the flag comes out, and you're just like, he's gonna take this to the house. This
yeah,
is
it
coming
ruined it,
back.
right? It totally
Yeah,
ruined it.
this is good. This is coming back. And then they're celebrating, and you're kind of going, well, they're celebrating, but then they kind of stop celebrating. And
Yeah.
then finally they made the call, and it was on the Raiders, which was incredible. So yeah, that was a
I
great
mean,
return. Great to see for his first touchdown as a I think right his first ever touchdown. I
yeah,
don't think he
yeah,
scored
yeah.
yet. So got two of those today.
Yeah, it was awesome. And you take away, even if you take away that 90-yard return, I mean, the four other returns for 37 yards were also great. It's just he
Yeah,
doesn't. I mean, he's no Dax Mill, but he's pretty close second, right? No, I mean the
love to
guy's
see him get some touches in the offense, like
well,
where he can get free.
he's getting touches, but he's not securing the ball. But that's a different. We're
Yeah,
not. We're lifting him up right now. We're
that's
not
true.
doing that. Honorable mentions for the Sauce Award. I would have put Debo in that just for the way that set the tone at the beginning of the game. Let everybody take a big
It was one
exhale.
play.
But Pop's hating on Debo today. Says he's
I'm not
washed,
hating
he's
on him.
slow and
I'm not hating
overweight.
on
I
him. He
hear
didn't
you.
get that many touches
Oh,
overall. So again,
no, but every time he did, he's impactful. Is the guy's a great
yeah,
player. Luke McCaffrey gets an honorable mention as well. He had three catches and his first NFL touchdown. Who knows what
I
Dak
love the
Prescott
burst on
has
that
for young man?
touchdown.
Yeah,
I mean, the defensive back had the angle on him, and he just
yeah.
blew right by him. Showed
He's
some
there's no
speed.
no question of his athletic ability. That's never been the question. Can he play football as a wide receiver? And if he could start to put some stuff together, I mean, look, we said it right. No Noah Brown. You're going to need to see Jalen Lane and Luke McCaffrey step up, and there they go. Right?
Yeah, I mean, you start to see Terry Flash, start to look like the old Terry a little bit today. Too bad he picked
Yeah.
up an injury, which is in the next thing. But I think it's also an incredibly encouraging saying that you didn't really need that much more of Debo, right? He had some really good early tone setting plays, but then you didn't really need too much out of him the rest of the game, which, you know, is not a dig at him. It's a compliment to the rest of the team and what they were able to bring to this. And you go through a victory like this when you really needed it and you do it without your franchise quarterback. It's big.
Yep. Ooh, Will Harris, breaking news, suffered a fractured fibula in
Oh
today's
man.
win against the Raiders. So that's stinky because he was actually playing really well today. Prior to that, he's having himself a nice redemption game. So we're going to see more Jeremy Reeves, who has also played pretty well. So that'll be fun. But hate to hear
Yeah,
that, and that
that sucks.
brings us right to
Wonder
our
how long
kickoffs of
that'll
the
keep him
game.
out.
Yeah,
Probably a long
fibulas.
time.
That'll be a
Yeah.
while. Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, Kickoffs of the game is the injuries, man. And prior to the injuries, you could bring up the dude with the boot. But we'll talk that later. The kicker situation is a little rough here. But injuries are the more impactful players are is the issue here. And I mean, once they started to move the ball, it's like I saw somebody tweet that like Joe Witt Jr. needs to be on the hot seat after the fact, and I'm like, man, you got Lattimore's out with a concussion, Percy Butler's out with a hip injury, Amos is out with a calf injury,
Well,
McLaurin's
Harris,
out,
I didn't even
Will
write
Harris
down.
is out. Like, you've got the whole secondary is down. You've got Quan Martin, Mike Samerstill, and the Bishop McNamara varsity team out there. Like what are you
Hey,
gonna
hey,
do?
hey,
Like,
hey, hey, hey.
no disrespect to the young fellas, but
But
what are you
no,
gonna do?
yeah, and the problem when you have a situation like that is like if one or two players go down from injury, then the other guys. But it's like even the guys that really were in there and knew the scheme and communicating all game as starters, now you're just backups in there, just probably running like chickens with their head cut off, trying to figure out what to do. And
Yeah,
yeah, I mean,
it's a disaster.
I don't have. Yeah, it's a ridiculous take. I mean, the
Yeah,
whole team was on the sideline. Like, I mean, starters and backups, right? I mean, the backup safeties, Percy Butler to Will Harris, at least one of them, and he's out. He's on the bench too. So, I mean, I hope the one thing that Trey Amos this calf, you got to imagine Lattimore, with the concussion at some point will be good. But calves are tricky, man. I've struggled with my calf and not put myself on a professional athlete level at all, but I like to get after it. As Dominic knows, I like to be active. And calf will feel fine. It'll feel okay. And then you push it and it goes again. And that
yeah.
just can be a real nagging thing for him. And it's a shame because having such a big season so far. But what he was nursing that calf,
It's
right?
he's been
It's
nursing
been
that since the
bothering him.
preseason.
Yeah.
So I
That's
wouldn't.
the one that's I mean, obviously other than Will Harris, of course, which I hate to see. That one's troubling, and we're starting to get beat up. The
We're
difference
thin.
between this
We're
year's
thin right
team
now.
and what happened last year. Yeah, we're starting to get beat
And let
up.
me let me clear up. No disrespect to the good folks at Bishop McNamara running the football program over there. Let me
Lou's
just
gonna
clear
come
that up.
after you,
It's
man.
the first DC area high school that came to my
Could have said
mind.
River Hill. Come on.
I just said, yeah, it's the River Hill. I tell you what, I would take Bishop McNamara. I'll leave it at that. Um, no disrespect to my Hawks either, but yeah, it's different,
Just move on.
different, different
Digging a
levels to
hole.
that. Causing some serious trouble here. I don't know. We may or may not see any of that. Um, but yeah, it's tough, man, because you got
Yeah.
Jonathan Jones is out as well. He's on the IR. He's going to miss four
Yep.
games. So with Lattimore, Amos, if you're looking at a situation next week where you got to go against Drake London and Kyle Pitts and Darnell Mooney, and you've got Lattimore, Amos, Jonathan Jones all out, and you're rolling with like Sam Still, Igbenogany, and then what are you going to put like Quan Martin at cornerback and run Tyler Owens out there at safety? Like you're getting yourself into some trouble.
Well, let's just hope.
Um,
Let's just hope that the Falcons bring the same game they brought today next week.
Yeah, and I think yeah, that's true. Yeah, and I think Amos with it, if he's been nursing that calf, maybe it's a thing where at this point in the game when he went out, it was just like, hey man, don't push it. You know,
I hope
like he
so.
felt it for a second. It was like, don't push it, just chill, we're good.
I
And
hope
I think
so.
that's, I'm gonna guess that's the situation with Terry because they said quad. You saw the way he kind of went down. I think it's just maybe a stinger. Hopefully.
I hope
But
so.
yeah, things could get rough with these injuries, but hopefully we can get healthy by LA. Because this is definitely a tough situation right there. Um, Otherwise,
You're just
looking around,
skipping past the Falcons. Don't do that.
well, we know we're not going to be perfectly healthy for the Falcons. That's what I'm saying. Hopefully, whoever misses for the Falcons, we can get healthy for LA, and that goes for five as well. Because I'm not so sure he plays next week, but we'll do a
We
whole
have
another
no
set of
idea.
segments on
We
that
have
next
no
week.
idea.
All I know is they said that for sure he would not have played today if it was a playoff game. So I think that's interesting. But we'll get into it
Yeah,
next week. We'll
that
get
is
into it next
interesting.
week. Quickly around the league, Eagles get that pump field goal block at the end of the game. They blocked two field goals today, and then nobody
Pretty
chases
fluky
down.
win. Pretty fluky.
Nobody. It's hard to say that because that in that way, absolutely. However, Hertz turned it on, and the passing game kind of turned it around in the second half. There's some serious conspiracy theories. I mean, Eagles Twitter is just one of the most sickening places in the world. They're all just like, we've got to decapitate our offensive coordinator after 2 quarters of football and starting the season 2-0. And then they turn it around, and then they don't give the guy credit. They say, "Well, Sirianni was definitely calling plays." I don't even know what to do with y'all, but congratulations on your win. You screwed me on the spread there. That was ridiculous. Nobody from LA having the hustle to go chase down the big fella. I mean, I get it, but go chase him down. See if you could get a fumble, like play football. There's no way nobody out there could have caught Jordan Davis, but whatever. 33-26 Eagles there. Browns beat the Packers. Wait, I just read the next bullet point. I didn't realize that was going on there. Browns beat the Packers 13-10. Packers just couldn't put the Browns away. Browns stuck in it, got the upset at the end. Carson Wentz hung 48 points on the Bengals.
Well, he
Um,
didn't. That was a lot of defensive plays and a lot of
yeah,
good running game. He did
a lot of
throw
Jordan, a lot of
one
Jordan
garbage
Mason.
time touchdown pass. And I think he had two for the game, but still,
Jordan Mason is actually the only player I have across all three of my fantasy leagues. So that was good for me, except it won't be enough in the Fan Bam league. That team's gotta go back to the drawing board. Tough situation there. But it will be enough for my other two leagues, so that's good. But
thanks for that aside.
uh that was wild to see. They just had a great defensive day. That defense is for real. Brian Flores should be a head coach somewhere. I don't know why he's not. Um Next week we've got the Falcons, and they lost 30-0 to
I don't know
Bryce
what
Young
happened
and
there.
the Panthers.
I might have been like my back nine yesterday. The wheels just came off the cart for the
Oh my
Falcons.
God, you and me both, man. Oh,
I
it's like
was
you
playing
get
with Uncle Boss. We were headed to a sub 90 round, and the golf god said nope.
well, you get to the end of a round of golf, and you kind of look, and a lot of times you score about what you'd expect to score. And yesterday I scored about what I expected to score. But you look at the scorecard and you go, okay, well, where could this have gone better? I didn't have to look far. I ended my round double, double, triple, triple. I didn't have to look too
That
far
was the Falcons'
back on
day.
that round. Oh my God. And Michael Penix Jr.
Well,
got
stay
benched.
tuned. We'll have a golf episode. We'll post that one later. But
Who knows? Penix Jr. got benched, which is interesting in that Falcons loss. Do we
did he get
see?
benched, or was it just this one's over? Let's just take him out.
Well, I don't think that line really matters when you're losing 30-0.
Yeah,
So do we see? I don't watch out. The game's at 1 p.m. next week. They're at home. We might see 1 p.m. Kirk Cousins next week. Get ready. That could be
Well,
dangerous.
it's look, you definitely can't go into that one. We'll do
No.
our overconfident. I mean, that is what we thought was a good improving football team. But yeah, it's a wild result. I mean, we can't really draw any conclusions. I'm sure we'll look into it a little bit more before our pregame show.
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, we glossed over it pretty quick, but the Packers going down to the Browns, that was crazy too. I bet a bunch of Survivor picks took a hit on that one. I did not pick the Packers. I picked the Bills, but I was thinking about it. I just didn't like the fact they were on the road. Um, so yeah, wild results around the league. Always, I still say that Eagles win was fluky. They're going to call our close ones fluky. I'm calling their close one fluky. But yeah, I mean they're getting it done when they have to. Tough Rams team for sure.
Yeah.
So that's always a battle. It seems like when those two play. So, but
Let's
anyway,
uh
hail
let's
to
wrap
the
this thing up,
Commanders.
man. Hail to the Commanders. HTTC. Heck of a
Love
win for
it.
the boys today. Got it done.
Keep it
Complete
rolling.
team
Let's keep it
win.
rolling.
Absolutely. Let's keep this thing rolling. Like I said, great complete team win. I say we wrap this thing up, man.
Let's do
Bring
it.
that to Atlanta. Without further ado, I've been Dom.
This is Pop.
Thank you all for another great week, everybody, and hail to the Commanders.
Yes, sir. Hail.